Carolina show, lunchtime thanks to Rudy's Barbecue, home of the green chili stew, moist brisket, ribs. Ooh, the pork loin's one of my favorite things they do. Barbecue, chicken. Just if you're in the mood for barbecue, you can go check out Rudy's Barbecue. Coming up in about 35 minutes, I got to listen in with Trisha Ford, the A&M softball head coach. They're at the Cathedral City Classic, where they're going to take on 2 top 10 teams, 2 top 15 teams. It is the most challenging non-conference weekend I've seen them have. I'm going to go with ever. I mean, it is brutal, but hey, this is the time to go out there and see what you're made of. And coming up in about 45 seconds, joining me on the D4 Land Services hotline, Cedric Golden of the Austin American Statesman. If you ever need a metal building, a custom metal building from the ground up, then you need to go check out d4landservices.com. Join now, Cedric, brother, what are you up to in the world?
Not a lot. What's going on with you, Lou?
I am trying to survive this Aggie basketball season. They are scrappy underdogs put together at the last second. Like, I've told the story before, but when Bucky was announced as the head coach, Buzz had decimated the team. Bucky inherited one player who never played. He came in when 93, I guess it was, or something like that, of the top 100 players were committed. He just had to take what he could get. His top player in his class, NBA prospect, just hasn't played for the team at all. I have found myself rooting as hard for this Aggie basketball team and Bucky as any A&M team almost ever. I love the storyline. I just want them to make the tournament. I'm not dreaming of national championships, winning the league, or any of that. And those NCAA tournament hopes are kind of hitting life support. And last night, 32 minutes into that game, it looked like the dream is over, and they just pulled out an unlikely win against Ole Miss. I had trouble sleeping, man.
Yeah, you don't want to lose to Ole Miss this year. This is a bad Ole Miss. And I'm going to tell you, Lou, the hard part about today's incarnation of hoops in college is a new coach is going to always have to adjust, but having to take over a team and then recruit high school kids and then navigate that portal on a campus where we know that basketball is definitely way playing second fiddle to football in this era. So you've got to manage your money. You got to figure out the fit. You got to get the right guys in there, and then you got to win games, and that's tough. And so this time, a couple of weeks ago, we weren't thinking that the Aggies were in trouble, but now things are heating up down there, and a loss to Ole Miss would have been a crusher. So it was good to see them pull that out.
You say high school kids. I'm sorry. If I was a college coach, I'd be a portal program. I wouldn't even be hesitating. There's no way I'm going to develop a player for 2 years, risk him leaving at that point. I'm going to let someone else do the work. I'm buying my players.
I get it, but if you can get a one and done, and he wants to come play for you. I mean, Texas had Trey Johnson last year, so if you can get one of those guys and the price is right, you have to take a chance on them because most of the guys anyway are one and done, and I do understand the dynamic of getting a person who is experienced, has been in tournaments. Because if you look up, Lou, most of the teams that make deep runs in the tournament are old teams, and basketball and football have gotten older in the portal era. So, that Indiana team was an old team that won the championship. So I understand that argument. But if you got a chance to get a generational guy who's stopping by for 1 year before he goes to the league, and you don't have to overpay for him, you have to take that chance.
Oh, you get okay. I'll make you a deal, Cedric. I'll take 4 of those a year. They're gone in a year. You said generational. I will never say no, but I'm not recruiting 25 of those anymore.
You can't because it's not sustainable, and you can only probably afford one when you can get a more experienced, older guy that might not even be an NBA prospect, might be a second round guy or something like that. You still take the old guy because the old guy is not going to be blown away by the bright lights and all of that. I think if you can get three solid old guys over a generational guy, you take the three old guys.
Cedric, wanted to talk some Longhorn hoops with you. They're 8-5. They're on a win streak. Have they just figured it out? Has the schedule balanced out? What is the state of Longhorn hoops? Again, they've won, is it 5 straight? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 straight now.
Yes and yes. The schedule has been friendly. They've played some teams that aren't very good. But you still got to beat those teams. And this time last year, they were losing to those teams. And I think they went 6-12 in conference play and still were able to get into the play-in game. 8-5 in conference. They figured out that their best player is Dalen Swain. He's really come on as a great closer. They almost gave away a game against the last place LSU at home,
Yep.
giving them everything they could handle. And you didn't want that, knowing that you got to go to Georgia and then Florida, who's playing as well as anyone's coming to Austin after that. So they avoided that. And you know what, Lou? It's not about style points. It's about winning, survive and advance, and just get into the tournament. I'm just like Lou. I don't have any kind of preconceived notion about Texas making a deep tourney run. I just want to cover a game or two in the NCAA tournament. It's the most fun time of the year in the spring.
Man, I look at the last two for the Horns, and this is the time of the year it is. Over the weekend, they go to Columbia, they go to Missouri, they go to a Tigers team who's making their NCAA push. They had just beaten the Aggies to kind of get off the bubble, and they destroy Missouri and Columbia. And you already mentioned it. And then last night, they have to not last night, Tuesday night, my bad. They just have to survive at home against the worst team in the league in LSU.
Yeah, and LSU was making everything. And that Matt McKinnon, the Australian kid, is for real. And I saw him a couple of 3 weeks ago. McKinnon was limping around. He wasn't himself. He looked good against Texas. He got his shot. And if they lose that game, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely a big time loss because they gave away the Mississippi State game in the SEC opener. So where they are right now with a veteran team, their best player is a junior, Dalen Swain, who came over with Sean Miller from Xavier, and then the two veteran guards, Trayvon Mark and Jordan Pope, and then the big kid inside, a big sophomore from Florida Atlantic, Modest Bocatitis, a big 7-footer, who's had some growing pains, but has also had some really good performances. They're not the deepest team, Lou, but they have guys that can score the ball. They have different guys that can show up on any given night and provide some scoring punch. Not a good defensive team, Lou. Not a good defensive team by any stretch. And that's probably going to catch up to them in the end. They'll find a team that can get to the bucket on them and score on them. But right now, it's a really good turnaround for Sean Miller. They started 0-2, Lou, in conference, and now they've won. They've been on a nice little roll here. They've won 8 out of their last 11, so they're trending upward come tourney time.
For year one, for Sean Miller, is make the tournament enough. Like, look, I explained the Bucky situation. I think making the tournament is Rays-worthy, statue-worthy. I think that's walking on water levels of performance. If you get what I said into the NCAA tournament. For Sean Miller, Texas, resources, everything, is that enough?
I don't think so. I think they need to win a game.
Okay.
I think they need to win a game. And the reason I say it is, Sean Miller has a stellar resume in the NCAAs. 7 or 8 Sweet 16. So these teams go to the tournament and win one or two games minimum. And so they're probably, right now, I think I looked on Joey brackets. They were a 9th seed, I think, playing Iowa in the Greenville region with the winner facing number 1 Duke. So if that holds up, they won't be around long. But They win that one game. It shows a little bit of progress after last season's one and done, and it shows that they're on the right track. And you want to win a game in the NCAA's for recruiting, and when I say recruiting, I'm talking about the portal mostly. So people want to be associated with a winner, and so I think it. They get to a 9 seed, Lou. And what do they play? What does 9 play? Is it 9v? What seeds play? 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. They play.
Yeah.
They'll play a number 8 seed,
and then you get a 1.
Yeah, they're battle tested, Lou. SEC is not as good as it was last year, but it's still a really tough league. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some SEC teams, make a nice little tournament run. I expect Texas to maybe win a game, but I'm not sure about 2. I just don't like their defense.
And again, you said a win would be enough. Not just making, but a win would be enough for Sean Miller year 1.
I think so.
Fair enough. And, okay, have you seen enough with their current record and remaining schedule to say they're in?
I've written this the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, that I always believed that 9-9 would get them in, Lou. And I'm gonna stick to that. I know that Georgia in Athens is not easy. I think that Florida could win it all. I don't like their 3-point shooting, but they've got the best front line in college basketball. And sometimes in a tournament situation, if your bigs are bringing it, then you can kind of overcome a few ills that you may have as far as 3-point shooting and perimeter play is concerned. Now, when you talk about their schedule, Lou, they got Georgia coming up on Saturday in Athens, and then the following Wednesday, Florida comes in. I expect Florida to win that game. They're playing well, Lou. They're really good. But Texas is talented, and if I've seen Florida, I think Florida lost to Missouri, and so they're beatable. So you get Georgia, you get Florida, and then you go to College Station. Then you go to College Station on the 28th. So this little 3-game gauntlet, if they can figure out how to win one of these 3 games, they're in good shape to make the tournament.
Hey, Cedric, did you catch the other SEC games of last night?
Which one? No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't, Lou.
Alabama, Arkansas goes into OT, 117-115. Alabama pulls off the dub. And then Vanderbilt is down 21 and comes up short. And Missouri's on this roller coaster ride, right? Missouri ends up beating A&M in College Station, then ends up losing at home, and then they end up beating Vanderbilt last night.
Yes, yeah, I didn't see any of those. I read about them, but I didn't see any of them. I wished I saw the Alabama Arkansas. That's crazy. That's a crazy game. You know what, Lou? There have been more circus-like high-scoring games in the SEC this year than I believe than last year or the year before. I think the offense is up and the defense is down. And you know what? I like high-scoring basketball
Same.
games as long as there's a little bit of defense being played.
Same. I'm just telling you right now, same. I'm way in with this. You know what? I don't know if I need 120s, but I almost, if they would allow me to make rules, I'd say the first team to 100 wins. I like 100 points. Now, if both teams are playing Ole defense, hard pass, I'm not looking for NBA style, but I like 90 plus. I have no problem 88, 85. I like points being scored.
I do too. I'm not. Give me a good 85 to 80 over a 64, 61. I like a little bit of. I like some threes being made, some up tempo, physical play, but good offense sells, man. And the game is so beautiful when people are scoring, contested scoring, not wide open layups where people aren't trying on defense, but when good offense and good defense are being played, and offense is slightly better. That's the kind of basketball I like to watch.
Two more things from the college hoops universe before we have to take a timeout. Last night, Creighton upsets UConn 91-84. These two teams played, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and UConn beat them 85-58. And then this Saturday, I don't know if you know, but 1, 2, 3, 4 all end up playing each other this upcoming Saturday. It might be the greatest regular season day in the history of college hoops, and that's only happened 2 other times in the entire history of college basketball, where 1, 2, 3, 4, they've all played each other in some combination on the same day.
That's cool, and I think I don't know that I'm working Saturday, so I might just get the microwave popcorn and order some pizza and enjoy the festivities. I love good ball. This is the time of year, Lou, when the teams start to separate before conference tournament time. I'm not a big fan of conference tournaments, but I am a big fan of conference play down the stretch when teams are fighting to get into this tournament. So,
Same.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking those games out.
Oh, you say, okay, you're down the stretch and they're fighting, right? We're in that last month, that 2 to 3 week push. And here's the other part, and teams are tired. Players are injured. And a lot of times it's no longer about the system and the discipline. This is about want. It's about individual effort. And, man, it's just about what you got left. And you start finding out about who these players are.
Exactly. And like Sean Miller said to us in the last press after their last win over LSU, for guys like Tramel Mark and Jordan Pope, Kendall Weaver, guys who are in their last season of college basketball, this is it. It's over after this. And so there is no tomorrow. So, younger players go, yeah, man, we can make it next year. But these old guys, you're going to see the older guys really grinding hard because they know that if they don't make it this year, and maybe they're not an NBA player, and so this is their last opportunity to play in front of crowds like this and to play on a national stage where everybody's watching. So this is the part, I believe, Lou, where you start to see the best of the best start to reveal themselves at crunch time.
Hey, let's grab a quick timeout. Come back. I want to talk some Longhorn baseball and a lot more with you, brother.
Okay, man.
Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman each and every Thursday joins me on the D4 Land Services Hotline. D4 Land Services Hotline. Let's say you need some help with your land. What kind of help? Cleared? Excavated? Just fixed up? I'm going to recommend you go check out d4landservices.com. Check out everything they can do for you on your land at d4landservices.com. This is the Louis Bellina Show, Thursday on The Zone.
You can get the podcasts of Texans Live, The Louis Bellina Show, or Chip Howard at zone1150.com, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
We're joined again, Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman.
He is an artist whose canvas is the printed page. A legendary wordsmith and scribe. The English language bows down to his powers. He is the Texas Sports Writer of the Year from the Austin American-Statesman, Cedric Golden.
Cedric, I think you got another honor this morning. I'm not 100% sure on this. I didn't get to hear it. I was working at the time, but I think it was Texags Live was doing, I don't know if it's a March Madness style bracket or they just nominated, but they were doing like the 3 coolest people alive because I come to find out dead people weren't allowed to participate. And I think you finished in the top 3. I think I finished just outside, but I think you finished in their top 3. I didn't get to hear it. Parts of this were horribly relayed to me, but I think you're in their top 3 coolest people alive tournament or finished in their top 3.
I did get a text from one Olin Buchanan.
I've heard of
I'm gonna
him.
Read it to you. He goes, on the show this morning, David Nuno asked me who I think are the 3 coolest guys. I said Mick Jagger, Carlos Santana, and Cedric Golden. I'm like, wow. If ever there was a time to love the bronze medal, that is the time. Mick Jagger and Santana. Who thought I'd be mentioned with those guys? Or maybe OB just doesn't get out as much.
I think it's a little column A, a little column B. You know, it's that kind of story there. And who said you were bronze? He didn't say in any particular order. I'd put you over Carlos Santana. Well, no. I'd put you over Mick Jagger.
Santana's too cool. Mick Jagger, still dancing at 80 years old. No, those guys are great. I mean, that's fun. That's fun for me. I got a good chuckle out of that, man.
Yeah.
So they're bracketing. They're doing a real bracket.
Oh, no. I don't know that part. Maybe you just made the final R in the 3. I don't know. I didn't get to hear it because I was driving and then I was working, so I didn't get to listen in like I normally do. And normally when I'm prepping inside the Charles Schwab studio, I get to listen to quite a bit. I did not get to listen a lot today. So I don't think it's bracketing. I think you just ended up in the final 3. I'm not sure, but I know you're in Olin's 3.
I'm definitely OB's 3. I'm definitely OB's 3, and that's all that matters.
Look,
so I'll take it.
You're in everybody's 3, and you know that. Okay? How could someone
He is an artist whose canvas is the printed page. A legendary wordsmith and scribe. The English language bows down to his powers. He is the Texas Sports Writer of the Year from the Austin American Statesman, Cedric Golden.
And you tell me how that's not the top 3 of every person on the planet. I'm just going to leave it there. Longhorn Baseball, opening weekend +1, the midweek 4-0. Couple of run rule dubs in there. The Friday night UC Davis took care of Lamar the other night. Your impressions, your thoughts, I understand. Just like Aggie baseball, not a whole lot of opposition, but still taking care of business.
Well, it's early, and I got to say before I talk about Longhorn baseball, I can never get enough of creepy AI guy. I just think he's too funny. So I think they are more offensive-minded this year, Lou, on offense. I've only seen them once. I went to the opener against UC Davis, and I'll be going to the Michigan State Friday night game tomorrow. But they've got a couple of transfers that you need to keep your eye on. Aiden Robbins, he's the center fielder. He's from Seton Hall, hit over 400 last year. All-American, and then they brought in a catcher named Carson Tenney from Notre Dame, and those guys have kind of solidified the offensive lineup. And then the shortstop Adrian Rodriguez is a switch hitter who's got a power to all field. So it's going to be an interesting season. I talked to Keith Moreland, the Longhorn legend, Keith Moreland, at the opener, and Keith said this is going to be one of the best power-hitting Longhorn teams in recent memory. He thinks they're going to hit well over 100 home runs this year. So, coming from Keith Moreland, that carries a lot of weight, and he's been watching them because he does radio with Craig Way on Texas baseball. So, I expect Schloss to have some really good offensive players. The pitching staff, unlike last year, Lou, is deeper. They lost Jared Spencer, the staff ace, to shoulder surgery, and he was off to a 4-1 start with an ERA under 3, and they never got over that. They were looking for that third guy for the rest of the year. But Ruger Riojas, Dylan Volantis, and Luke Harrison form a nice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think Volantis is the best of the 3. They pitched him Sunday, and he took a no-hitter late into the game. So I think they are just a better overall squad this year, and I think that the offense is going to be better. Schloss told us that he wants bigger, burlier baseball players, and he's got a couple. But in the coming years, he wants the big, physical, strong types, and he's pushing toward that. But for now, I think they may be as good as advertised, but baseball is a long season. You never know.
We've been talking about Longhorn baseball for a couple of weeks before it started. So you had me paying attention for Volantis, and my athletic baseball guy had been talking about Volantis. His start Sunday was nothing short of brilliant. Again, we know the opponent opposite. It doesn't matter. That was his first start. And again, I'm just stunned that you take maybe the best closer in all of baseball, and he might end up being one of the best weekend starters. I mean, he's just that guy, isn't he, Volantis?
He is. He is, and he was a freshman last year, and he set the SEC record for saves, topping the great Stephen Head from Mississippi State. And I just think that he has that it factor, and he's not overpowering. He tops off around 90, 92, 93. But Greg Swindell, who, man, am I dropping names today or what?
You are, but they're great names, all of them.
Longhorn legend Greg Swindell told me at the alumni game that Volantis is a major league pitcher, and right now he's just 19 years old, and so he's added a changeup to his repertoire. He's a left-hander. He's 6'5", and so the release point is very tricky. That ball's on top of you. It helps when you're not overpowering to have that high release point especially against lefty. So I just think that they have a lot of boxes that are checked. Injuries are going to happen. Life's going to happen. And the best teams are the ones that are able to overcome those obstacles during what's the longest sports season of the year. And we'll see if the Longhorns can get back to Omaha in year two under Schloss after losing at their own regional to
shockingly losing at their own regional.
Let me tell you something, and I'm saying it with my chest. UTSA was way better that week than Texas.
Yeah,
that was not a fluke.
I remember.
Was not a fluke.
I remember. They were the best team in that regional. UTSA, the best team advanced, and inexplicably and inexcusably, the best team advanced.
Absolutely, and that sticks in their craw. You never want to be sent home from your own house in a regional when you've been playing well leading up to it. So 30 SEC games is a long conference season to figure some things out. It's going to be fun to watch how they develop over these next couple of weeks before they start conference play, but. They look like a fun watch. There's a lot of offense. They have good pitching. The closer, we'll see. Thomas Burns throws 100 miles an hour, but we don't always know where that 100 miles an hour is going. Location might be an issue. So every championship team has a guy that can come in and shut it down when the money is in the middle of the table. So we'll see.
So what do you got coming up this weekend? What are you covering? Are you going to be back at Dish Falk for the Michigan State series? Longhorn Hoops? Yeah. What are you covering this weekend?
So my weekend's different. Tonight, the Spurs are in town.
Oh.
They're playing the Phoenix Suns at Moody Center. So I'm going to see. I'm going for some French beignets with Mr. Wembanyama. And then Saturday, Friday, I'm covering baseball, Michigan State, and then Saturday, I think I'm taking off, Lou. And then Sunday, This is cool. I'm hosting a gala fundraiser at the Four Seasons. Derek Johnson, Longhorn legend, another name drop. His defending Dream Foundation is hosting a gala fundraiser to combat illiteracy. Already 500 guests confirmed. Longhorn legends all over the place. Earl Campbell, Mac Brown, Chris Del Conte, Colt McCoy, Corey Redding, Michael Huff. Lots of Longhorn legends are going to be in the building serving as celebrity waiters to prospective donors. So I'll be hosting that event on Sunday night. And then Monday, the Austin Tennis Open is being held at Westwood Country Club. And I'm going to have a nice sit-down conversation with a tennis legend, Venus Williams.
Dude!
Playing in that event.
Are you serious
so that's
here?
Really fun. That's fun, Lou. That's fun.
Look, you could, if you wanted to, be the greatest name dropper of all time, and you rarely do, because you know everybody. But today...
I dropped a lot of names in this show, including Olin Buchanan. I dropped a lot of names.
Well, that's where it started. That was when you said, hey, I'm going to bring out the big guns first. Let me go legendary. You go with the OB drop, and then you wrap it up with Serena Williams. Today is your greatest name drop day since I've ever known you.
Yeah. This was a great name drop show. She's 45, and I'll get to ask her if her sister Serena is coming back. Because Serena is entered the drug testing protocol, which means that you want to play tennis again. So, and she's dropped a gang of weight, and she's back hitting tennis balls. So Williams sisters might be back on the court in the Grand Slam, and I'm going to get hopefully 10 or 15 minutes with Venus. That'll be cool.
Cedric, go have the most amazing 5-7 week ever. Sounds awesome, dude. Live life well.
You too, brother. Take care, man.
Be good. Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman. Folks, that is living life well, and he is one of the coolest people you'll ever meet. Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman on the Louis Bellina Show Thursdays on the D4 Land Services hotline. If you need forestry mulching, pond construction, a metal building, custom metal building from the ground up, go check it out, d4landservices.com, d4landservices.com. It's the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric on The Zone. I'll be right back.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Don't ask unless you want the truth, because
you can't handle the truth.
Weekdays, 11 to 2 on The Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service. That is Schwab. Charles Schwab, and our local, he lives here, eats here, sleeps here. He goes to the games too. Talking about Mark Sim, our local Charles Schwab agent, representative, dude. Look him up online, schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC. Time now. Listen in. I promised. Trisha Ford, A&M softball head coach, previews the Cathedral City Classic, which 2:30, scheduled first pitch in tournament play. It could float a little bit, but 2:30, they're going to take on number 14 Oregon. It will begin one of the toughest non-conference weekends I remember, because they got 14 Oregon today. Tonight at 7:30, number 14 Duke. Two top 15 opponents just today on the opening weekend. Both games, all Aggie softball games on Willie 1550 AM and RadioAggieland.com. After that, top 10 Nebraska, top 10 UCLA still to come this weekend. Here is the head coach, Trisha Ford.
Yeah, I think excited to be home, but we leave again tomorrow morning. I think this weekend was a good test for us. First day was rough, rocky. I liked our fight, though. I think we just didn't execute very well in the circle, and we know that. But both of those games, we were in it. And so I think that gives me a lot of encouragement of what we're capable of doing as a unit. I thought we bounced back nicely. I was, waiting to see what that looks like on Saturday. I thought they fought well. We had really early mornings, so there was a lot of things kind of working against us, and overall I was pleased with what we looked like both Saturday and Sunday. So, it's February, it's the second weekend of February. You play two really tough teams in one day, which is not like anything else that we do, even in postseason. Usually you have, a day and then you play another one the next day, but we're about to do it again this next weekend. So I think for me, it's, seeing how we respond about coming into a tournament. Now we're going to the other side of the country, and how we're ready to go for that first day against two really good opponents.
The four pitchers that you used the most, they all each had at least one rough patch. Mm-hmm. Was there any common denominator in the patches that they had? Yeah,
we were working behind. I think that's the biggest thing is, I think one of the things that, and we know this as pitchers, when you work ahead and then you make the hitters have to swing at your pitches versus being 2-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, you're putting the pressure on the pitcher. And so, and then hitting, our game is a game of momentum. And so as soon as momentum starts to go, you start swinging freely and those types of situations. And so I think it's important for us to stay in control of the game, and how you control the game is by commanding the zone.
You talk about going through adversity throughout the season, but also some adversity that you didn't know you may face is really early start times and then really late start times this weekend. Can you kind of just talk about that being an additional hurdle too?
Yeah, I think it's just good for us. We don't really talk about it a whole lot. Really what I want to see how they respond to it. And their energy was actually great this whole entire weekend. And so that wasn't a thing. Which I was pleased with that. I think for us, it's just really being able to execute in the circle in those two games. And so, yes, now this weekend, I think one of our games, we don't start until 8:30 California time, which is 10:30 here. So Coach Harger will tell you he's in deep REM sleep at that point in time, but they're probably wide awake during that time, so it'll be us pounding the caffeine. But it's a great opportunity for us. Again, we have players that we recruit on the East Coast, we have players that we recruit on the West Coast, so it's important that we represent on both sides to make sure that we get the best Aggies here at A&M.
And then you will be facing a familiar face in Amari Harper with Oregon. Just kind of talk about her as a player and what she meant here.
Yeah, I think she's a great player. Obviously had a huge year for us last year and chose to go somewhere else. So, obviously, wish her well, but it's time for us to beat her. Yeah.
I think I know the answer for college kids, but what is harder, earlier start time or later start time?
The college girls will tell you that it's the earlier. I'm a late owl person, so just nobody else on my staff is. So, I think for us, it's really just getting your body going at different times to be able to play that level of ball is what makes it tricky.
Really nice weekend for AK. We talked with her. Just what can you say about her and what she's brought so far this year?
Yeah, I'm just happy for her. Like that, she has worked. Like from the day she stepped foot on our campus, so last January to today, that kid works, and she knew she wasn't going to play all year last year, didn't play all fall, and that didn't deter her from her work. And so for me, I think, that's just a life. That's who AK is. It's a life lesson. She's just going to work, and I think she's going to be successful in everything she does because she's not afraid to put in the work and get better and work on the hard things, It's easy to work on the things that you're really good at. What's hard and what makes people special is when you work on the things that are hard, and AK loves to work on the hard. And so I know that she's going to be successful in life because of who she is.
I just got here, so I don't know how much you do or don't care about rankings, but dropped a few spots, but still top 15 despite losing to this weekend. What do you think the voters like about this team?
Well, I think they like our resiliency. I think we had about as bad of a day we could have in the circle on Friday, and we were still in both of those games. And so I think you see a lot of parity in our game, and I think you saw that all this weekend. Duke came out of the gates and beat everybody, and then, obviously the last two games, had a rougher time. Mizzou, the same thing, UCLA. I mean, you could kind of go up to, and I think voters are probably like, I don't know where everybody is. There's probably a top 4 or 5 that seems to be playing really well right now, and then everybody else, it's a flip of a coin. So we just got to stay in that mix. We just got to stay in the mix. I do know that this team will get better as the year goes on, and that's what I'm really excited about.
When you talk about the resiliency, obviously there were 3 comebacks, 2 came up short, but still comebacks are comebacks. Yep. What did you learn about the group and the resiliency this weekend? Yeah,
we're just never out of it. I think, something we pride. I think every one of my programs has been that way. We've had some big comeback wins when we were at ASU, big comeback wins, since I've been here. And, we talked a lot about it today when I was on I had another media call. That is part of the thing. It's one of the things that I want our players to learn when they leave this program. If they've spent 4 years, 3 years, whatever, however many times, but you're never out of anything until it's over. And I think for me, that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is I'm going down swinging, and that's what my program's going to look like. And I don't think anybody can hold their breath. Everybody has to hold their breath until the last out, because they know the Aggies will fight until their last breath.
What about you? Kind of flipped the script, I think. You went in thinking, your pitching's pretty, and then you're hitting at all these holes, and you come back, you're batting like 381, you got hits throughout all the lineup. Hitting maybe a little bit better than you even thought it would be after 10 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just are doing a good job of executing our game plan. I think the fall, there was moments where we were like, oof, we got to get some pieces going, but we didn't have AK in the lineup in the fall. And so I think there's just some things that, you have Mick and Talon who are way more comfortable, whether, they were in our program for 2 months, now they've been in the program for 4 months. So I think, that piece is good. KP was one of the best players in the nation this weekend. I mean, she was electric to watch. She was, hitting, bunting, slapping, sliding around the bases. And so I think they're enjoying being around each other, and so that breeds a different level of play.
So you really had 2 because work had the one first week. How do you, Trisha, not make a lot out of what is like a big weekend, because you're not going to face ranked teams almost again till you get the SEC play? Yep. You've had 3 close games against ranked teams, but you lost those. Yep. Mm-hmm. So what is the approach for this? This is a kind of a big weekend.
Yeah, it is. I think for me, it's really about what cost us in those games. And so there's some pieces of it, and that's what we're going to talk about, obviously, today in practice. And we talked about it after the Tech game, like, hey, if we execute this and this, that game goes into extra innings, and that's what kind of game these types of games are going to produce, or these tight games. And so the team that's able to make the least amount of mistakes in those games is the team that's going to win. And so we, unfortunately, have been on the wrong end of those. So what I hope as a coach is that we continue to learn and get better and clean those pieces up and do the things that we can control. Winning and losing is a byproduct of the process and the execution of it. And so, with this team, they're learning it. And I think as us that have been around the game for so long, we know that. But they're 18 to 22. They have to live it, breathe it, feel it, all the things. And, you can get frustrated because you're like, this is what we talked about. But until they kind of go through it and live it, then they're like, oh, I get what you're saying. I'm like, yeah. So I think for me, it's going to be, can we learn from the mistakes that cost us in these 3 losses that we've had and apply them to this weekend? And we're going to have at least 4 really tough games. Can we apply those things that we've learned, and what does that look like?
How does the staff do y'all go about preparing for 6 teams in 4 days?
Well, you saw what I look like on camera this weekend, and you're going to see what I look like on camera again this weekend. So, I think, the good thing is we don't have to prepare for Duke, but we do play 6 games, so we still have to prepare for 5. So we've met and prepared as a staff for 2 of them already today. The problem is we got home at 4 a.m. on Sunday. And I'm old, and we don't bounce back quite as well as we used to. So tonight will be a late night in the office, but that's the fun thing about this. Like, I get to do this, yes, is it tiring? Yeah, but I get to go compete on the field, be around 18 to 22-year-olds, get them going. And so I just think there's a way to look at life, the glass half full and half empty, and I'm always a glass half full person. And so you're not going to spend as much time as you would for a conference game. But I do think I'm pretty familiar with Oregon just from coming from the PAC. Obviously, they're a different team. I haven't been in the PAC for a long time. The PAC doesn't even exist. I just said that out loud. But they're in the Big Ten now. Yeah, that's also sounds weird. Same with UCLA. They're also in the Big Ten now. They're always going to be in the PAC in my head. So, I'm familiar with their style of play. We recruited a lot of the kids at UCLA, so I'm very familiar with them. So the one good thing about having really late games is I have a lot of time during the day to prepare. So I'll be hunkered down in my room and making sure that we're ready to go. At the end of the day, we have to execute, right? Throw pitches on the edges, be able to play catch, get good pitches to hit. The game never changes. So it's just how many advantages can I pick up in my preparation to help us with that process.
That was our listen in. Trisha Ford, A&M softball head coach. Again, it all begins today. They're taking on number 14 Oregon at 2:30, and also number 14 Duke tonight at 7:30. You can listen on Willie 1550 AM and online at radioagaland.com. When we return, man, time flies when you're goofing off, hanging out, and talking Aggie athletics, doesn't it? This is the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, residential, commercial, and industrial services. It's what they do at CC Electric. This is the Louis Bellina Show on The Zone.
Your home for Aggie baseball is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
It is the Louis Bellina Show. Lunchtime, thanks to Rudy's Barbecue. Done. Still ahead. Matter of fact, 3 minutes and a whole lot of change. Rusty Burson, Aggie historian, and of course he's an author. I like author better. Will join us on the D4landservices.com. And I'm going to tell you something. 135, gotta. We'll jump into the lifestyles/entertainment portion of the Louis Bellina Show. So that's what's going to happen in the final hour, the 1 o'clock hour. here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Oh, I'm also going to do a text message sweep at 979-693-1150. I'll be right back with Rusty.